Make yourself comfortable because today on Top Best Drive, we will tell you an incredible story, that of the Big Bud 747, the most powerful tractor in the world, a true giant of agriculture that revolutionized fieldwork. But to fully understand the scope of this technological marvel, we need to take a step back in time to 1977 in California. It all began when the Rossi brothers, successful agricultural entrepreneurs with over 10,000 hectares of land to cultivate, faced an immense challenge. They needed to find a tractor capable of doing the work of two caterpillar crawlers, the giants of the time. The task was daunting, but the Rossi brothers did not give up and turned to the Northern Manufacturing Company, a company in Great Falls, Montana, known for its skill in producing custom agricultural machinery. The following year, in 1978, a mechanical monster rolled out of the Northern Manufacturing Factory that would make agricultural history, the Big Bud 747. Even the name, inspired by the famous Boeing 747, made it clear that this was not just any tractor. The Big Bud 747 was sold to the Rossi brothers for the then exorbitant sum of $300,000, which today would correspond to approximately euros. But that money was well spent. The Big Bud 747 was a giant of over 43 metric tons empty, with a V16 diesel engine of 24 liters, capable of producing 760 horsepower. The power of this machine was managed by a full power shift transmission with 6 forward gears and 1 reverse, and the Rossi brothers used it to the fullest for 8 years, radically transforming the way they cultivated their vast property. However, in 1985, the Big Bud 747 changed ownership and was moved to Willowbrook Farm in Florida. But its journey was not over yet. Shortly after, the tractor was sold again and moved to Montana to the Williams Brothers Farm. And this is where the second life of the Big Bud 747 began. The Williams, passionate about mechanics, decided to push the limits and made modifications that increased the power of the Big Bud 747 to 1,000 horsepower. It was at this moment that the tractor began working with a 24-meter wide cultivator, operating at a speed of 13 kilometers per hour. With these numbers, the Big Bud 747 was capable of working 1 hectare of land every 2 minutes. An extraordinary result that transformed the concept of agricultural efficiency. But like in any great story, there is a twist. In 2009, the Big Bud 747 faced an unexpected problem. Its enormous tires were worn out, and the company that produced them had gone out of business years before. Without custom-made tires, the most powerful tractor in the world was forced to stop. It was a critical moment, but the Williams brothers did not give up. They decided to restore it and increase the engine power to 1,100 horsepower. The Big Bud 747 was taken to a museum, where it became a real attraction for agricultural machinery enthusiasts. The story seemed over, but in 2020, another turning point occurred. The Williams brothers had a brilliant idea. They modified the Big Bud 747's rims to be able to mount compatible, newly produced tires. Thanks to this intuition, the tractor finally returned to doing what it did best, working the fields. And so, the Big Bud 747 resumed its activity, roaring once again across the Montana countryside, where it still helps cultivate hundreds of hectares every day. The story of the Big Bud 747 is that of a machine that not only surpassed the technological limits of its time, but also managed to adapt and be reborn, becoming an icon of agricultural engineering. And so, this extraordinary adventure concludes with a happy ending for one of the most famous tractors the world has ever seen. If you enjoyed this story, let me know with a comment and a like below. Subscribe to the channel to not miss more incredible stories like this. See you soon.